What's up, guys? It is your girl Sarah from Sarah Styles here. I am here with Amber Resells, and I am beyond excited for this. I'm a huge fan of her channel, so head on over after this call. Head on over and subscribe to her channel. Lots of great reseller content. She is in the process of becoming an actuary, so it does have some data analytics underlying, which is probably why I like it so much. But she did a PoshMark survey. And I'll let her tell us a little bit more about it. She obviously will tell us more, but she did a PoshMark survey to the community and then came up with some results about things that PoshMark could fix and reached out to PoshMark and got PoshMark's response to some of her survey questions. So I'm really excited to talk to her about this. As people jump on, I will let you, Amber, kind of introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about how you got into reselling. It's a part-time gig for you, right? Because you do a full-time job. Kind of just for those of us who, or for the people who are joining who don't know you, let us get to know you a little bit.
Sure. So my name's Amber. I have a YouTube channel called Amber Resells. And whenever people ask me how I get started, it's so hard to remember. I always wish I would have wrote down what was happening, what went through my head. I don't really remember exactly how I got started, but growing up, I went to garage sales all of the time. So that was a normal part of my life. Thrift stores, I remember distinctly the first time I got something brand new when I was 12. So thrift stores, garage sales, that was completely normal for me. And then at some point when I became an adult, I realized, oh, I can put stuff online and make some money from it. And then about 2 years, I created the YouTube channel, and I've been focused pretty much exclusively on PoshMark content. And so when you make PoshMark content, of course, you get people who will complain about the app in your comments and say, oh, I wish they would change this, or I used to sell on PoshMark, but this happened. And then when you talk, I talk to friends and family, I get the same thing. I'll talk about the app, and then they'll often tell me what they don't like about it or what they do like about it.
As if you have any control over it, right? I love when they say, oh, I hate PoshMark because of that. It's okay, cool. Let me fix that for you real quick.
So then a few months ago, I made a video called 4 Reasons PoshMark is Losing Buyers. And I talked about kind of the 4 things that come up most commonly with friends and family of why they stopped using the app or why they don't buy on it any longer. And I got hundreds of comments of people saying oh, I hate that this happens or this happens. And a lot of people saying you should reach out to PoshMark and tell them what you think they should change. And the more I thought about doing that, the more I felt like I'm just one person. If I go and complain to PoshMark, PoshMark,
who am I? Yeah, right.
Yeah, they're not gonna. I mean, they might listen, but they're probably not gonna do anything. And so,
the thing, I'm going to interrupt you for a second to promote your channel just a little bit because it's hard to do yourself. But the thing that I like about your channel is you do these videos, your 4 things for PoshMark sellers, and you've done a couple other that are kind of controversial, but they come across very I don't know how you did it. I don't know how you do it. You come across very neutral and not basically diss PoshMark the whole video, but you did it really well. And there was another video about the big resellers, how you can be a big 100,000 reseller, and it was very controversial, but you do it very well. So definitely check out her channel, Teach Me All Your Ways, because I love your controversial topics, and I think they probably get a lot of
I think the thing
views, but you do
try to state facts. I don't try to give opinions as much as facts. Although on the 4 Reasons PoshMark is Losing Buyers, I did have a couple people comment saying that's just an opinion. You need to have data to back that. But most of the time, I have facts. This is a fact, and this I don't like this, or this is a fact, and I think this should change this. So.
Yeah, no, which is probably why I like you, because I watch a lot of, when I was starting, I would watch some YouTubers, and I'm like, well, but why is that the way? This sells really well. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? What sells well, and how do you know that? And I'm not, and not to diss on other resellers as well, but that's probably, everyone has different content to their channel, but that's probably another reason that I like your channel is it is very analytical.
My chat is coming through now. So
okay.
Jacob and Reseller's Passion. I should know your name.
That's Leslie.
No, Leslie, thank you.
Between the 2 of us, I'm really bad with names too. So between the 2 of us, we may be able to get some of them.
Irish Lux PoshMark. I don't know if she watches my channel, so you should check out my channel.
Yes, I know she's a regular here, so okay. I don't know if she also watches you, but Leslie is saying, I love Amber's content. I've been watching her channel for a while now. And you came out to Denver, was it last summer?
Yeah, last June. And then I had gone out also like in March, I think, last year, something like that.
Yeah, it may have been June. And I think I was just getting into reselling and not really into YouTube. And someone was like, oh, Amber Resells. I don't think I'd found your channel. Yeah, she's coming out. We should go meet her. And I was actually supposed to come out, and then my kid got sick. And I saw it popped up somewhere the other day that I had like commented on one of your, I'm like, it's so funny how this like small little reselling world works. A year ago, like we would have met had my kid not gotten sick.
Yeah.
And now you're on my channel. So, well, let's get into it. We do have the report up. So let me ask you a little bit of background. So it started with this video that you did with the 4 things. And then you're like, well, I want to go to Poshmark, but I don't want it just to be me. So you came up with this idea, which obviously I love, of doing a survey. So tell us a little bit about the survey, how much feedback you got, and kind of at like a high level, what your questions were.
Yeah, so I put together a survey. Basically, I wanted to keep it short enough that people would respond to it. Like, not get halfway through and be like, forget it, this is going to take me too long.
Yeah.
But also cover enough information that I had valuable insights from the survey. And so I put together the survey. I sent it to like 8 people for feedback. And everybody was just like, looks good, looks good. I was like, no, I want criticism. Like, tell me what to change. So then I reached out to some of my friends that I knew would be like pretty critical. And they gave me a couple ideas. And then started sharing it. So that's how I started. The questions were like, I asked first, if you're a Poshmark buyer, and then if you said yes, I asked you how many items have you bought, and then when there was a list of 10 changes that I most commonly hear people say they want Poshmark to make, and I asked the person to rank them from what they would most want changed to what they would least want changed. Because that's another
as a buyer, because that's what I liked, is you split it out between but I only think of it as a seller. And so when I did your survey, and then I also read the report, and I like that you split it out, because we oftentimes as sellers forget about the buyer's perspective, right?
And I think like, because my video too was specifically about from the buyer's perspective, these are things that are bad from the buyer's perspective. And I do think generally Poshmark, I know this is controversial, some people disagree, but it's more helpful from a seller. Like, people can't return stuff if it doesn't fit them. Like, there's a lot of things that are beneficial as a seller that aren't so beneficial as a buyer. And the main reason with the ranking was, I think a lot of times people will say, oh, I don't like sharing, I don't like shipping, I don't like this, I don't like that. But what do you dislike the most? Like,
yes, right.
So that's why I really wanted to do the ranking, to say, okay, I know you guys don't like these things, but what do you dislike the most of all these things? And then I asked the same question from the seller's perspective. Are you a seller? How many things have you sold? And then ranked 10 things that are commonly complained about from the seller's perspective. And then the final question was just open-ended. Is there something that you felt like I should have listed in these things for you to rank that was not listed? And that was probably my biggest worry when I created the survey, was that there was something that lots of people would have wanted in that list that I didn't put in the list. And
did you find that to be the case?
I think the only thing is,
I feel like it was pretty
thorough. I don't like it. If I would go back, I don't even know if I would change it. But a lot of people wish you didn't have to have a shipping discount on an offer to likers. So I might add that if I would go back, because that was something very common that people wanted.
That makes sense, because I typically will create a bundle and offer an offer. But, and this is a whole different thing, I'm going to talk about it real quick though. I've been doing that, and there's so many new people on Poshmark that they're like, what is happening? Why are you sending me a bundle? I don't know. And then I had a friend who is only a buyer, and she's like, people keep sending me bundles. I don't know how to do this. And I was like, oh, that could be confusing to people if they don't.
And I think sometimes when you do something different, people think you're trying to scam them, or you're trying to pull one over on them. And it's like, no, I'm just trying to help you. Like, for example, I've had a few times where people will buy 2 things from me and pay shipping on both. And I tried to tell them, don't do that. Bundle it, and you'll pay shipping once. And like 50% of the time, they get scared away and they never buy the item. And so I stopped doing that. I was like, you're just going to pay shipping on both, and I'll add a note telling you, like, don't do this again. Just save it.
Again, yes. Because I've had that happen where they've bought it, and I'm not realizing that it's the same person until I go to ship it out. And so one time I sent them a message, and I was like, hey, like, but then you have to cancel, and they canceled and then didn't buy it again. So now I'm just like, no.
Like, I did it, I don't know, like I said, maybe 3 times, 4 or 5, I don't know, a lot. I mean, it felt like a lot, because people would just never end up buying it. And so I decided to stop going that route. So.
Which is odd, and I think we'll get into this in your thing as well. But the shipping cost is amazing if you bundle. If you're buying a t-shirt, $7 is a lot of money for what you're paying. You're getting the biggest bang for your buck on Poshmark when you bundle things, and I mean, £5 for $7 is ridiculous compared to other platforms.
Right.
So
coincidentally, when I was putting together the survey results, like working on the paper, a friend texted me and she's like, "Hey, I'm just using that app you always talk about, Poshmark, for the first time." She's like, "Is the shipping $7 if I just get a shirt?" I was like, yeah, and it just like it seemed so fitting for I was working on the paper, and then she texted me, it's like, "Is this right? Like $7 for a shirt?"
That's funny. All right. So you put out this survey. Let's talk a little bit about the types of people that you got doing the survey. I really like that you split it out between the buyers and sellers because it is a very different perspective. And I'm sure we'll see it. I have the paper up. So at any point, just tell me when you want me to pull it up.
Yeah, probably
for this.
Like a chart that you want to refer to or something.
Okay. So you did the buyer and seller, and I think it's good because, like you said, like for the shipping or the returns from a buyer's perspective, 3 days isn't that long. I personally don't like it as a buyer, but from a seller's perspective, it's nice. So I think it was great that you split it out between the two. What kinds of what was the demographic? What kinds of buyers were you seeing? I mean, you asked like how many things they bought, and then what kind of sellers are you seeing? Like full-time, part-time? What were you thinking?
Well, so I didn't, again, to make sure that people didn't like start a survey and then leave with new questions, I didn't ask a lot of demographic questions. So the only question I asked was, like the only demographic type question was how many items have you sold or how many items have you bought. So I don't know if they're part-time. I don't know if they're full-time. I don't know if they're male, female. So I did debate that. Like I did debate if I should ask more so I could really split the data more. But I decided the thing I cared about the most was how many they had sold. So then I could split the results based on really large sellers, really small sellers, which should get to are they full-time, are they part-time.
Well, and that's why, I mean, it's hard to say because if someone's been on the app for 8 years and they're only selling a couple items, they could still have a large quantity. Yeah. But it's a seasoned seller, maybe not a full-time seller, but a seasoned Poshmark seller, whether it's over 8 years they've been doing it or they sold that much in 3 months, right?
Yep. The majority of people who responded were resellers, which you could tell because the median number of items that responded had sold was just over 200. I can't remember the exact number, maybe 250 or something. Okay. I just have the number. And then from the buyer's perspective, it was something like 20 items bought. So more typical, but the vast majority of people responding are resellers because my channel is targeted toward resellers. So that makes sense.
Right. But you also get resellers that are buyer, like I buy off of Poshmark, right? So we're buying differently. We're not strictly buyers, but most resellers also buy.
The majority of people that responded both buy and sell. But so I have the number now. So the median number of items that a seller had sold was 226, and the median number purchased was 20. So
definitely heavy on the seller side, but still buyers. Okay.
Good.
All right, so let's get into, I want to talk about what kind of, so you ordered, let's start with the buyer's perspective. You ordered what people wanted to change the most from Poshmark, and so you ordered them from a buyer's perspective. And I think, would this little graphic be helpful?
Potentially. You're talking about the one with the dots on it? Average ranking.
This one?
Oh, sure, that works. So this was a one.
Is that, oh, wait. I got rid of you. Okay, there we go.
So this.
Let me guys know in the chat. Sorry, so let me know if in the chat if you can see that. I think it's probably big enough, but let me know if you can see that. Okay.
So maybe can you zoom in on it, like on the distribution section? We'll just start there. So I put this sheet together because I know from working at a big company that if you're going to send anything to execs, you need a one-page summary. Like they're not going to read a 12-page paper with everything you want to say about the results. They want one page, give it to me quick, make something bold so I can just like glance at the page and kind of get information about what you're trying to tell me. And so that's why I put together this one page so that when I emailed them, they had a quick thing they could look at and get the gist of what I had done and what I was trying to present to them. So
And when you're saying then, just to clarify, when you're saying them, you're talking about PoshMark, right? When
Yeah,
you're sending, because this is what you sent to PoshMark. You did the survey,
Yep.
you compiled it, and then you sent it to PoshMark. And we'll get into PoshMark's response in a minute, but I just want to clarify for people who haven't watched your video.
Right, sorry.
No,
point.
it's okay.
So I emailed at the end after I gathered all the results and kind of summarized them. I emailed like maybe 6 or 7 executives at PoshMark because I wasn't sure at what level I should be emailing. So I just kind of emailed a bunch of them. And like, if I email all these, someone's bound to talk about it or ask somebody about it. Yeah. And so I included a 1-page summary, which was this, and also the 12-page paper with all the details in it. So,
which was extremely thorough. She actually sent it to me the night before she sent it, and I was watching Nailed It with my daughter as I was like reading it, and I was like, it was very thorough. I am wondering when PoshMark is going to give you a job, because it is more thorough. I mean, I don't know what they do on the back end for their surveys, but you did a fantastic job in making sure that you covered all your bases on this.
Yeah, if I'm going to send something to execs at a big company, I'm going to make sure it's good.
Yes, true.
So, okay, sorry, I'm just looking at the comments real quick. Okay, so yeah, so on the left side, I kind of summarized the distribution of the survey. So I said I distributed it through my my social media accounts, and I collected responses for about 2 weeks, and I had 1,400 people respond. So I wanted to emphasize that, to say, I don't know how many people respond to their normal surveys. I'm sure it's much higher, but to me, 1,400 is at least credible, and it's not like I only had 10 people respond to the survey. So I wanted to highlight that, and that's why I put that in the bold. And then,
and so the charts that I was looking at too, there wasn't huge variances in a lot of the data. Like, it was tend to be pretty close knit. So like the 1,400 responses, while it wasn't ginormous, you were still getting a pretty close knit response.
Right. So if you were to take like 200 random responses, you get a very similar answer than if you take a 200 random sample. Yeah. Right. And then also here, I pointed out that, that median number of items sold was 226, to kind of point out to them, like, this is probably not a typical seller, because most people selling at their own closet aren't going to sell this much, but it is probably a typical reseller, or a typical, someone who is making a business out of selling on PoshMark.
Which is interesting, and I think this came up in your questions possibly, but I've always wondered if PoshMark's strategy is for resellers, or if it's more for the general populations. I think personally, I don't have data to back it, so we'll see what this says, but I think personally a lot of their business strategies and a lot of the stuff that they have is more for a broader, I'm cleaning out my closet, selling things here and there, not necessarily for resellers.
I wish I had access. Like, I wish I had a network to have 1,400 people who aren't resellers take the survey and see how they differ. But I feel like if I did that, it would be very biased. It'd be like just Iowa people, and it'd be like 100 people. So, yeah, I wish I had access to that data, or their data. It would be nice to see.
Right, agreed. All right, so that's the distribution. Let me
see that. Is your husband?
What's that?
Is Mr. Styles your husband?
Oh, yes.
He said, hi, Mr. Styles.
Oh, yes. He had a name, like a Japanese anime character that I can never pronounce. And so when he would be on the chat, I was like, I could never say his name.
I could say it.
Yes. Well, I didn't. Everybody in the chat pressured him to change it to Mr. Styles. So during the chat, he's actually in the front. Last weekend, 2 weekends ago, we just moved and found out that a pipe needed to be replaced in our front yard. And so they refixed the pipe, but they ruined the sprinkler system, and they're like, hey, we only do the pipes. So they like cut apart the sprinkler system and just left that. So he's out fixing the sprinkler system right now. Yeah. Okay, so let's look at we'll start with the seller just because it's on top. So these are from the seller's perspective. If you want to kind of go over the top 3 things, I'm assuming that's what these are, but if you want to kind of go a bit more into detail.
Yeah, so like I said, I had 10 options for sellers to rank. And these are the 3 things that came out at the top of what sellers would most like PoshMark to change. So number 3 was that people would like to be able to run sales in their closet. Right now, if you want to run a sale, you have to create a new listing that says you're having a sale and kind of notify your buyers, like, hey, I'm having a sale, hey, I'm having a sale. Whereas, for example, on eBay, there's an automated way to run a sale and to have all of your listings show you're running a sale. So something
Or
similar.
even just like an offer, like on eBay. I mean, not to compare it to eBay, but on eBay, you can click all of the offers and send an offer in 10 seconds. Where on Poshmark, if you wanted to send an offer to all of your likes, it could take you hours, depending on how many
You don't want to send
items.
discount.
What's that?
You can just do offers to likers, right? You just have to do it
Yeah.
with discount then.
Yeah, but if you did it to all of the items, it would take you forever.
Oh, gotcha.
Because you have to do it like one by one. You can't like do it in bulk.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's kind of how I run a sale, but like I still have to do it.
Yeah. So this one was interesting because when I dug into the data, you could clearly see that the ability to run a sale ranked very differently if I split it by the number of items that people had sold. So I can pull up the numbers, but off the top of my head, I think it was people who had sold.
I think, is this the full page that you sent me? Because I can scroll down or no?
So I sent you the one-page summary and also the paper, but
Would it be in here? Okay.
So here it is. Okay, so the people who had sold less than 100 items ranked the ability to have a sale 7th on their rankings. And then the people who had sold over 1,000 ranked it 2nd on their rankings. And overall, it came out 3rd. But that was one of the things I pointed out to PoshMark to say, if your target audience or if your goal is to help resellers and people who have sold many, many items on your platform, then this is something you should prioritize, because for those people, this is very important. Again, it makes sense because they're the people with the large closets, lots of listings. And if you're more targeted on the casual seller or somebody just selling out their own closet, then you don't need to prioritize this as much.
Yeah, I've always thought, and hopefully Poshmark is listening and they take this, but I've always thought that they should do something where you could like do like a business subscription type of thing, because not everybody wants to run a sale or have all of these like certain things that business type people have. But I would pay $30 a month or whatever it is to have like a business analytics and options to run sales. And maybe if I sold so much, I would get, just have like a different split, because not everyone on Poshmark is resellers. So they probably don't want that. But those of us who are would like that, right?
Yep. And then the thing that ranked 2nd was people wanted lower fees, which it kind of surprised me, because I think, to me, that one's, I don't know, like I don't hear people complaining about it all the time. I think everyone just takes it as it's a given. The fees are high. But from the rankings, you can see that people really want this changed. Poshmark, they do the flat 20%. And if you're someone who sells on Mercari where you're paying 10%, this obviously is going to feel really high. And so that came out number 2 as the number 2 thing sellers would like changed.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's got higher now that Mercari is getting more, like a lot more people are getting on
Mercari is just advertising like crazy. Every time I watch a video on YouTube, I get a Mercari ad.
Yes, for sure.
And then the number 1 change that sellers would like to see is for them to replace their flat shipping with tiered shipping, where lighter items cost less than heavy items. And as you can see on this, that came up also number 1 from the buyer's perspective. So
that's interesting, because I agree, but then it also takes away from Poshmark being Poshmark, because then it's not simple. Because then you have to, if you're going to do tiered shipping, then you have to have a scale and you have to know how to ship. Right now, you can be a seller and not have any idea what to do, put it in a box and put the thing, label on it. If once you go to that, it gets a bit more complex.
Right. So that's, I think for the casual buyer, it would be better, because they, like my friend who messaged me, like, I have to pay $7 for a shirt. What is this? They might pay they would pay less than that. But for a casual seller, I don't know if it's better, because it makes it more complicated and it's not as straightforward. It's not as easy. But clearly, based on the results, most sellers and buyers that responded to the survey would like this changed.
Yeah, and I wonder if people are just they understand online sales a little bit more, that they understand shipping and how much, like when I start buying online, I was like, I don't know how much it would cost to send something. $7 seems fine to me. And now that I'm doing it more, I'm like, oh, $7 is ridiculous. You can send it on, even
like Amazon Prime or, sites where you get free shipping. And then you like $7 for just this. That's what, I think if they would push more that, make it clearer to the buyer that you can bundle and still pay $7. I think that would be really good, because I don't think new sellers get that. They just see, oh, it's $7 for this one item. That's ridiculous. And if you could tell them, like, well, if you buy 3 more things, you still pay $7, like just somehow make it clear. I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, definitely. I think if they push that, it would help them make more sales, but then also it would help the sellers as well. I'm going to check in with the chat really quick. Sometimes I forget to do this. Oh, yeah. So Jacob is saying something to that extent. I was just brainstorming a possible minimum number of listed items and or sizes that would initiate a sort of pop-up during the shopping. Shop this closet to take advantage. That could be kind of cool.
I mean, make use of the newsfeed. Put something on the newsfeed like so-and-so's running a sale. Check out their closet.
Yes, right. Jacob's also saying the definitely supports Sarah's point that the app was created for the casual seller, which is completely fine. There's nothing wrong. I mean, everyone has their own business strategy. You just have to know that when you're going on there. I think the sticker shock of shipping significantly increased for the buyer upon passing the $6 mark plus the added taxes by law. Yes, it has gone up, but that's nothing they can really do.
Yeah, I do think the tax, like when someone is trying to buy something, you know, it's like $10, and then they get $7 shipping plus $2 tax, now just doubled, and they're probably not going to buy the item. But the question, so I don't know, I kind of skipped around, but the question I ended up asking Poshmark about the shipping was basically trying to get at what's Poshmark's strategy? Because the shipping creates competitive advantages for them in certain areas. Like shoes are much better to ship on Poshmark, or big jackets are much better, bundles are much better. And so they're attracting some people because those things are cheaper for them to ship on Poshmark than other platforms. But then they're also losing people because the people who sell tank tops or jewelry, it's not attractive. They're not going to get as many sales. And so one of my questions to them was trying to get at, is the shipping part of your long-term strategy, your competitive advantage, or is it something that you guys are thinking that you want to change? And I could see it from both ways.
And what did they say? We can get into it now since you shared. What did they say?
Sure. So they said that they have looked at tiered shipping before, and they decided against it for now because they didn't feel like it. Basically, like when you look at the ease of use, the cost of the shipping, and there was one other thing that they said, but that it wasn't better enough than what they have today. So whether it's because it made it more complicated and you didn't save enough, that's kind of what I would assume.
Yeah, like the cost benefit, you weren't getting enough of an advantage,
yeah,
which is fine. Then they should push the bundles because it is. And that's a valid point because I sell a lot of shoes and purses. So $7 for those items is like killer because on eBay it costs like 13, 12 bucks.
Yeah.
And so I guess it probably doesn't really faze me as much because I think and I usually sell higher price items as well. And so I think when someone's paying, $50, $7 doesn't seem as bad. But to someone's point in the chat, if you're buying a top for $5 and you're spending $7 to ship it, that's where it gets a little finicky.
Yeah. So recently, I haven't even made a video about this, so I haven't talked about this at all on my channel, but I listed on eBay for a few weeks, and I was just listing things that have been stale on Poshmark, haven't been selling. And I sold a bunch on eBay, and everything had less than $7 shipping because it was all lighter stuff that wasn't selling on Poshmark, wasn't very high priced. I listed on eBay. The shipping is like $3 to $5 on each thing, and they were selling. So
yeah. And I'm wondering too, as people are learning, there's more platforms out there. I've noticed, and maybe I'm just making it up in my mind. It's hard to know if it's the same person, but I've noticed I will get an item liked on Poshmark and I will get an item watched on eBay. And I feel like they're waiting for me to send an offer. And like they know it's the same item, and then they're trying to figure out which one is the best one. And depending on what it is, the shipping may be better on eBay. Like I feel like people are going to have multiple platforms now to figure out.
I wonder if that's just a YouTube viewer. I would be surprised if the average seller is savvy enough to figure that
out. I don't know. I feel like it's happened.
Average buyer.
Yeah, I've noticed it multiple. Let us know in the chat if you guys are noticing it as well. I've noticed it in the past couple of weeks. I'll get an item, and it's like a random item will get a like on Poshmark, and then an hour later it'll get a watch on eBay. And I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah. So like Lizette is saying, I don't mind the 20% since we have so much protection as a seller. And so that is something like I do think Poshmark is like I already said, kind of more helpful to the seller than some other platforms are. And I've heard people say that before, like I'm trying to think of examples people have given. Oh, like they'll pay for return shipping. Like if someone gets a return or you could return it, whatever, they'll pay for the shipping for you. You don't have to worry about it. Where on eBay you do.
And if an item gets lost, I heard this happen on Mercari. If an item gets lost on Mercari, they're like, oh, too bad, figure it out with the post office, where PoshMark usually just pays you out and like lets it be.
Yeah. It's nice. Anytime I've had any issue on PoshMark's just like, you're both refunded, have your money back. I'm like,
yes.
Okay, sounds good.
Or even when there's like a return or a dispute, a lot of times they'll give you the money and offer the other person, as long as they accept, a discount on future purchases. And so you still get paid and they get a discount. Like that's coming out of their profits too. So I'm in Lizette's boat as well. So if there's a case, they will sometimes offer like, hey, we'll give you 20% off. So that they don't return it, and then you keep your money, and then they get 20% off.
Interesting. See, every time I get a case, I just tell PoshMark to approve it. So I've never dealt with that, I guess. I don't know. I get them so infrequently, and I don't want to deal with it. So I'm just like, they can send it back. I'll sell it to somebody else.
I think it depends on what it. Yeah, I think it depends on what it is. I've had that happen when it's been like a bundle, because if you have one item in the bundle that they don't like, then they have to send everything back, and they always want to send everything back. So I've had it happen like in a bundle before that PoshMark has.
I've had twice. So I've only gotten like 5 or 6 returns, and twice there were bundles. and both times they didn't want to send it all back, but there wasn't another option. So.
Oh, I wonder if maybe that's a new thing that they're doing. I don't mind the 20%, and I keep an eye on eBay as well. eBay technically is 10%, but once you add in all the other stuff, if you do promoted listings, I'm hovering around 20% on eBay as well.
eBay's
so and it's confusing. Yes,
I'm trying to figure it out because I have the PayPal fees and then the eBay fees, and I don't know. It's much less clear than PoshMark 20%. Got it. It's easy.
Yes, right. Which is the other thing that you're paying 20% for, because it's easier. eBay is going to manage payments though, so it's all going to get more confusing before.
I heard that I heard someone say they were going to go to a flat percent. Is that not true?
Yeah, I don't fully know. I was talking to Chris last night about it, and he's going to do a video, so he's going to know more than I do. But what he said last night is yes, but also no. Like they are doing it, but it's only like they will take their 10% off of the top when they pay you out, kind of like PoshMark does, but you will still get an invoice for some of the other fees.
Okay.
So now they're just splitting it out where you pay one invoice. But if you don't pay attention, it can hover that 20%. So I don't mind the 20% either.
What's your promoted listing rate usually?
Right now I'm doing trending. I'm going to try and play around with it. I am newish to eBay, so I'm just trying to get as much exposure.
Out of the 20%, what of that promoted?
Oh, what percent is promoted? I looked at it a couple of days. I would say it's between like 6, probably around 6% is the
promoted listings. Your guess would be like 15% is the PoshMark equivalent.
Yes. Yeah. So if you don't do promoted listings, you're probably closer to like 12%.
Okay. Gotcha.
Ish. Yeah. We have comments in here. Let me make sure we have. Yeah. So Jacob just said the same thing about eBay, 20%. I'm also wondering if Mercari is going to up their prices or up their percent, because they were new and they're probably just trying to get people, as they continue, they may start to learn like, hey, we have to charge more to keep this thing going. Right.
Maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised if they go higher, but they do a tiered shipping too.
Right.
Yep. So they're saying, grumpy thrifters, we started selling on Mercari and have found our lighter items sell fast there. So I do think people are paying attention to shipping, which for PoshMark sellers, maybe that's where we can start promoting bundles and getting people to take advantage of that and then sell more as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been doing some sourcing on Mercari, and I'm always like shocked by how low the shipping is. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Someone told me the other day for $8 in free shipping. I was like, how does this work? They're making no money on this, or
no. Well, I think Mercari has a lot of people just clearing out their closet too. So they're like, I don't have to. They don't care so much.
Yeah.
I need to get a Mercari account because I hear a lot of people are shipping or are sourcing there as well. Mm-hmm. But like a burner account, I don't want people to know. Like on PoshMark, I give really low offers, and I'm like, I need to change my name so people don't like, oh, this is like, she has a YouTube channel and she's.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that yesterday, not even kidding, because I was sending out offers and I was like, if I had a different account, I might be more aggressive. I just don't.
I know I feel bad now. And I feel bad because they can look at my closet. Like, even if you didn't know I was like a YouTuber, you could look at my closet and clearly know I'm a reseller. Like,
right.
All right. So let's see. Where did we leave off? We've gone over the sellers. We've gone over, oh no, let's get a little bit into the buyers, how that was a little bit different than the seller's perspective.
Yeah. So one more comment on the sellers. So on the seller's perspective, the shipping and the fees, like, were obviously the top two rankings, but the next six, like, basically they were less credible. Like, they were closer together and they had more standard deviation. So you could, if you increase the survey, like if you double the number of responses, probably those things would shift around and you might not see sales as number three. So the two that were really concrete were shipping and fees. People want those changed. And from the buyer's perspective, things were much clearer in terms of, if I were to double the respondents, I'd probably see very similar answers and not much movement. And so these three that came up the top are, again, like, very clearly the top three things that the respondents wanted changed. So as we said, shipping again ranked at the top. Second was inactive accounts. I was so glad to see this because this is one of my biggest pet peeves. And I really think they should fix it. So what it is that, what did I say on here? Deactivate stale accounts. So basically, there are lots of accounts on PoshMark where the seller is no longer active, and you buy from them and they never ship the item. And I've had, like I said, lots of friends, family complain about this. They're like, well, I bought something, but nothing happened. Like, the seller never shipped anything. They never messaged me. And then that was all that happened. And then
they're thinking that all Poshmark like that makes them like not want to go to Poshmark at all.
Yeah, and the more inactive accounts are, the bigger the problem is. The more likely it is someone's going to have this experience more than once and just say, forget it, I'm done with Poshmark.
Yeah.
And I've had that experience many times, and I also wonder, like, how many times does something get canceled before the listing gets taken down or something? Because what if you have one item that lots of people are trying to buy? I don't know exactly how it works on the back end in terms of when someone cancels, at what point does it just get taken off, or does it not?
Well, and from Poshmark's perspective too, like, they have to store all of that stuff, like all of the listings. And so if people are inactive, like, they're paying for that storage space. That from their perspective, it would be beneficial for them too to get rid of people who aren't active.
I didn't ask them this, but I really want to know if they're trying to IPO, if that influences them not getting rid of inactive accounts, because right now they boast about, like, so many million accounts on our app, so many accounts, and if they get rid of all the people who haven't logged in 6 months or a year, how much
that goes down?
Drop. And so I
That's
do
a valid point.
if maybe they're going to wait until the IPO is done. I don't want them to. I think it's making the app worse. It's making them lose people. But I do wonder from their perspective if it's like, we want investors to hear this X million number, not something less than that.
Well, and also, even if they're not just trying to have like, that number's already been out there, and then, like, if it goes down, then it's like, okay, wait, what happened that your numbers just went down? Like, something is happening.
Yep, exactly. So that is one thing that I wondered that I didn't ask. I felt like it was too I don't know what it is, but, like, I probably shouldn't ask that. So
no, I feel you. It's kind of calling them out.
I think it creates a lot of bad buyer experiences. Actually, I know it creates a lot of bad buyer experiences, and it seems like there is, like, basically, so I had asked them about this. This was one of my specific questions I asked them was, do you guys have plans to fix this in the short term? And the director of community, senior vice president of community, she's the one that responded to me. And she said she'd had the same thing happen to her before. And, like, I know it's so common. Everybody has had this experience, it seems like. And she said that she said, thank you for bringing this up, and we will elevate it in priority. I think it's her wording, and we'll have discussions in the short term. And so, I don't know, I'm glad to hear that the results elevated it in priority is what it sounded like, because, again, I think it's an issue, and it doesn't seem very justifiable. Like, it doesn't seem like there should be any good reason not to change it. And she had said basically that I mean, she didn't say this is our reason for not changing it. She just was kind of explaining things and said that they've seen a lot of people come back to the app recently, and they wouldn't want to like deactivate people that might come back. But as I said in my video, what I've heard Mercari does is they just kind of hide your listings if you haven't logged in so many months. But as soon as you log in, everything becomes active again. And that
Oh, so they don't like delete you. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't delete you permanently. They just hide things until you're active again, and then everything automatically becomes active. And
yeah,
that's awesome. Or like just send them a notification saying, hey, you haven't logged in 5.5 months. Simply log in and you're good. If you don't, we're gonna deactivate your listings.
because it looks bad on Poshmark, and with the amount of so many new people, they don't like when they don't understand. Like I'm sending bundles, and they're like, I don't know what this is, or the shipping. And I've had people that are like, well, I bought something. Can you add this to what you're sending? And I was like, you didn't buy anything. And they're like, oh, Poshmark isn't just all one. And I was like, no, you bought from a different seller. Like,
yeah.
And so they don't understand. And so you get one bad, like, if it's their first time and they get one bad experience, like they're likely not coming back, right? Like I would be like, I don't know what's happening. I bought something and it's not coming. I'm not dealing with this anymore.
Yeah. Or like, what's going on with this app? Like I bought something and the thing's never shipped. You know, like
they don't understand that it's just one seller that's not doing it.
Yeah, right. Like if you bought something on, I'm just trying, like some website for a dress, and then the dress never shipped, you're not going to buy from that website again. And
right, exactly.
Yeah.
They don't understand it's individuals. Vicky Vault is saying, I don't understand why people select the shipping price as the number one thing they want to change. It's my favorite thing about Poshmark. I can't ship anything priority for 7-Eleven on eBay, which is valid, but you can ship first class for half of that price for anything lower. And most people are fine with first class. I mean, on eBay, they will select first class because it's half the cost.
Yeah. And Vicky, I think there's people on both sides of the argument. And there's a lot of people that are on your side too that say it's nice, you know, like the 7-Eleven is so much cheaper than the stuff on the stuff I sell. But then people sell jewelry or tank tops or shorts, and they're like, oh, I only need $4 shipping. I don't want to, like, if they could pay just $4, then I would sell more. So.
Yeah, which is the tier. I mean, that's kind of why I think Mercari did tiered shipping, but then it makes it much more complex. Right. All right. And then the search. I'm interested to hear about the search for the buyer's perspective.
So this one ranked third, and I didn't actually ask them anything about this, but they did bring it up in their responses. And so, okay, so what the option was I said, make it easier to find. I think I said improve SEO, make it easier to find what you're looking for when you type something into the search bar. Mm-hmm. And this came out as the number 3 people think. Number 3 thing that people would change. And so I actually wasn't expecting this one to be in the top. I thought, you know, returns, or I don't know, probably returns is what I expected to be in the top. Yeah. But yeah,
I'm surprised.
People have a hard time finding exactly what they're looking for. And in Poshmark's response, this was one thing that they said, like, we are currently working on this and we will be having things coming out very soon. And they had actually said, like, at the end of June, there should be updates coming out. And I have been seeing like quite a few things changing in Poshmark in terms of like the copy listing feature and more.
There was something else I saw yesterday and I was not happy about it.
I got stories yesterday. I don't know if that's what it was.
Oh no, I still haven't gotten stories, I don't think.
But it seems like they definitely have been making changes much more often than I am used to seeing.
So they are doing stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but she didn't say anything specific on what she meant by we have improvements to search coming out at the end of June and more to come later in 2020 is what she said. So it was nice to get specifics of like, it is happening now and there's more to come by the end of the year. And yeah, it was nice to hear that.
Yeah, I think the search could be a lot of things because we all know like just searching in general is kind of hard, but then like just shared is what goes to the top, which as a buyer, if you aren't great at SEO and you're sharing all the time, or as a seller, I mean, that's great because you can just get to the top. You don't have to fight on eBay like you do for the algorithm. But also then you have to share all the time, right? And so I'm interested. I don't imagine they'd get rid of that because that's kind of like their thing. Yeah. But it does make it to where like all you have to do is be the person who shared soonest to come up in that search.
Have you seen a filter for most relevant?
Maybe that's what I was. No.
I don't know if it's still on there. The other day when I was on the app, I saw the option to filter by most relevant. I was like, what's this? But I just forgot about it until just now. I'm like,
and there was something I'm trying to think. I've been watching because they do a rollout. I don't think I've gotten any of these. I also don't. I'm not a huge buyer, so I'm not on there buying on Poshmark a lot to know the other side. I know how like listing functions when they get updated, but not always the buying stuff.
yeah. So I just went and checked, and yeah, there's a new filter on Poshmark for relevance.
So I wonder if that's what they're talking about, that they were updating.
And I wonder how well it would work and what exactly it does. And if they would ever shift to that being the ranking, the default ranking. Because I think most new buyers are just going to search for something and not realize, oh, it's just sorting by people who shared it last. So,
which is helpful. I mean, it's helpful when you're new or even old. As long as you share, you can not have the best listing, but you can be
but if the top. If they would ever change it to sort by the relevance thing they added, then the purpose of sharing kind of goes out the window. Like,
right. And that's what I mean. I wonder if they'll ever do that, because sharing is it's like a social thing, right? They're doing stories now. They want it to be more of a social shopping.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sharing so much, and they like also again like minutes in the app is another metric that's really important to them, and sharing is part of the reason that that's really high. So I don't think they would change that either.
Valid. Yes, it would completely change a lot of things. Let me check in with the chat. Let's see. 7.11 is fantastic for anything over £1. I completely agree with that. That's Vicky Vault saying that's why I do offer to likers. They get the reduced shipping. I was shaking my head at that one. Copy Daniela. If you guys don't follow Daniela, definitely follow her. She has a YouTube and a great Instagram and a podcast. Lots of really great content with Lori Boston Finds. Copy listing feature has been amazing. I agree. I actually did a bunch of that today, although I accidentally hit delete on a listing instead of copy.
Oh no.
So don't do that. It's in eBay, so I'll have to move it back over, but like pay attention to what you're doing. I accidentally hit delete. I love Posh Post. I hope they don't change that. My number one, this wasn't even an option. I'd like to be able to select accept offers or not. I don't like inflating prices to allow offers.
So there actually was an option about offers. It was being able to set a minimum offer you will take. That was on the sellers list, and it did rank near the top, I think, like maybe 4th.
I hear a lot of people talk about that. I don't really care.
Yeah.
And maybe like if I was talking to Chris last night about this, and he gets so many offers that he's like, it's just annoying. I'm not at that level. I get a couple offers a day. It's not a big deal to me.
Yeah. I do think it would definitely just like reduce the number of offers and make people offer higher. Because I know on Mercari, sometimes when I'm sourcing, I'll go to offer someone and I'm like, I can't offer them that. I guess I'll offer them more. And so I do think it probably would result in higher sales for us if there was a minimum.
Yes.
But there's also times when I can't offer them something, and so I just skip on it because I don't want to offer them what I have to.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like I lose sales as a result because there are many people who are no BS like myself and don't like to send offers. I'll pass on things rather than negotiate. I feel like it's a game. It is absolutely a game. 100%. And that's when I went over to eBay, I was like, I have to like strategically price my things. I can't just like randomly pick a number out of the air like you do on Poshmark.
So something I heard before I started listing on eBay was like, on eBay, people buy things full price. You don't really get that many offers. And on Poshmark, everybody sends offers. But then I started listing on eBay. I'm like, I'm still getting offers on almost everything I'm selling. So I don't know if it's like based on the items or what it is. But
I think, and I might do a video on this, I was ranting to myself in the car today, and I was like, well, that's video worthy if I'm like having a conversation with myself about it. But I think part of the problem when you watch eBay YouTubers is they're good at what they do. They've been on eBay for so long, but they've been on eBay for so long, so they don't get coming in as a new person. They have the algorithm on their side. They're making thousands of sales a month. So eBay is working in their favor. So maybe they're highlighted at the top and they're not getting as many offers. But for those of us who are not to that level it's not a fair playing field like Poshmark, right? Where like you share and you're the same as anybody else. I think that a lot of the people that give eBay, and nothing wrong, they have good advice, but a lot of the people who give eBay advice have been on there for so long that they don't necessarily see it from a you just started on eBay perspective.
Yeah, but to me, it actually makes eBay more attractive because it's like you put in the work they're going to help you out. Like,
Yeah.
you put in your work to our platform, we're going to help you and boost you on our platform.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And that's why, I mean, I've been on for 8 months and I've slowly continued to get better, but now it's becoming more favorable to me than Poshmark is, because once you put in the work, yes, it's I don't know if less time, but I feel like you get more rewards out of it. And the analytics on eBay are like you're going to tell me these things, where Poshmark's like, good luck. You have a heart. That means someone saw it.
Yeah.
But you don't know how many people.
Yeah. So that, is that on here? Oh no, that's in the open-ended responses. So I guess a good time to transition over there if you want.
Yeah. Yep. Let me get, now I don't know where it is. Hold on. Yeah, there we go.
So to end the survey, I asked people, is there anything you felt like should have been in these rankings that wasn't? And if so, tell me what it is. And these were the 3 things that at least 20 people said they wished Poshmark would change. So the bottom one is what we're talking about right now. So a lot of people wrote in the comments that they wish Poshmark had more analytics. And specifically, they wish they had view counts, which is exactly what you're talking about. That you can see that someone liked it, but you don't know how many people have viewed this item. And like, yeah, I think it would be really helpful, because you could also then see, if I share it at this time of day, how many views am I getting? If I share it this time of day, how many views am I getting? And you could understand more, like, the best way to utilize the app.
Yes, for sure. I mean, I also hope they don't get too many analytics, because then people won't buy my dashboard. Like, I'm also kind of happy that Poshmark doesn't have a lot of analytics, because I created like a side business off of it. But it would be nice if it was all in the app and they put my dashboard out of business, right? Like, if they had all of that stuff in the app.
And the more that I get into eBay, the more I want Poshmark to have some similar information, which I hear from a lot of people, especially like when you're used to the level of analytics eBay gives you, and then you go to Poshmark and you don't get really anything except for likes. Then I can see why people are like,
well, I mean, you get a CSV file that nobody knows what to do with, and that's only fairly recent.
At least we did that. Yeah, right. It's recent. Like, that was helpful. At least you have a summary of information. You don't have to go collect it yourself or track it yourself.
Yes, but it's only helpful for Poshmark sellers. I would venture to say it's helpful for like 2%. Like, most people are like, I don't even know what a CSV is.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what to do with this. Right? I mean, you do, I'm sure, but like, and I do, which is why I created a dashboard. But most people are like, I don't even know what to do with a CSV file. This is just a bunch of things. Yep. All right. So number 2.
Yeah. So the number 2 thing that people said is that they wish they would reduce the frequency or reevaluate closet clear out. In my video, this was probably the one thing that people in the comments, well, other than people disagreeing with the shipping, that was also a frequent comment that people were saying, I like the shipping. But the other thing that frequently was commented about is this: people saying, why did people who responded want you to reduce closet clear out? Or like, why would they want that? Poshmark pays for a shipping discount on closet clear out. Why would you want them to do that less? And what I saw in the responses is people were saying that closet clear out happens so often that buyers don't pay attention. It doesn't create a sense of urgency, which is what it's supposed to do. Like, create a sense of urgency, like, I need to buy it now so I get the discount. Instead, they think, oh, it happens every 3 days. It'll happen again soon if I want it. And so that was why people were saying they wanted it less, so that it actually did do the sense of urgency.
And then you're, as a buyer or as a seller, you're dropping your prices, but there's no urgency. So now you just have a closet full of lower price items.
Yeah. Yep.
Although I don't do it. I don't have any idea when it's closet clear out. I don't pay any attention to that. The little banners at the top, I'm like, I have no idea. But that's the kind of the point to this, right? Like, it's not a big deal anymore. I have no idea.
Yeah. Yep. And then the number 1 thing, and this was by far the number 1 thing that people wrote in this open-ended responses, is that they wish that they didn't have to give a shipping discount with offers to likers. And I think it results in a lot of people doing what you were saying, where you create a bundle and send them an offer through that. And I do the same thing. Like, if someone likes a listing, I will create a bundle for them and send them an offer so that I don't have to give the shipping discount. And I think a lot of buyers think that the shipping discount you send through offers to likers is paid for by Poshmark, and they like will just negotiate less with you maybe, or want you to pay for the shipping. Versus if you send it through the bundle, I don't think they think that as much from what I've seen anyway.
Right. Yes, agreed. All right. So this was extremely thorough, very helpful. If there's anything else that wasn't in this one page that you want to touch on, and then quickly, I knew we would talk forever. Quickly, we can touch on, you've mentioned some of their responses, but if there's anything else. So if there's anything else on the survey that wasn't in here that you wanted to touch on, or we can get into Poshmark's responses that you haven't already mentioned.
I think this is most of it. Oh, the one other thing that comes to mind is that I had also separated the survey results by the people who were only buyers, which I only had 45 people respond to the survey who were only buyers. So it was a very small subset. But I compared their responses to the rest of the respondents to see if the people who are only buyers ranked something differently. And there was one response that ranked differently. I want to make sure I quote it right. So let me quote this up. Okay. So one of the rankings on the buyers list was give sellers with a good track record more recognition. For example, show their overall rating, shipping time, or have seller tiers based on past performance. And for the people who were only buyers, they ranked this number 3, whereas the people who were also sellers ranked this number 6. So that kind of makes sense. Like if you're a seller, do you want all your ratings to show? Do you want do you want a seller tier that you have to work up to? Maybe not. Maybe you like the way it is now. Whereas a buyer, it would help them know who shouldn't I buy from, who is having people cancel orders, who's getting bad reviews. And so, yeah, it ranked number 3 for people who are only buyers and number 6 for people who are sellers.
Yeah, that totally makes sense because it's hard to really know who is a good seller because they hide stuff in their ratings and stuff.
Yep. Should we chat really quick before we get to the responses?
Yes, sure. Thanks for keeping me up on it. I always forget. Closet clear out definitely happens way too much. Forever Wonder is saying, Valerie, I actually appreciate closet clear out, but I do think people expect you to drop prices. Becky Parker on Poshmark, I've had her on here, and she kind of creates a bundle for everyone and says, hey, if you want this, I'll drop the price for you. Let me know, which is more work, but that's kind of how she gets around having to drop all the prices. When I've participated in closet clear out, I've noticed that people often just offer even less, which stinks because I'm going to drop price. I drop to my lowest price. I never drop to my lowest price because most people do counter. Daniela is saying, instead of doing closet clear out, I just relist the item, which tends to bring more attention to my closet than closet clear out ever would. Very valuable point. Relisting it's a brand new listing and puts you in the just in. When I list an item though, I list it and then I also drop the price immediately because you can filter by just in and recently price dropped. And so I'll price it like 10% higher when I list it and then lower it right away. So then I'm now in 2 different places, regardless of if it's closet clear out or not. Let's see. Oh, Jacob just said Becky Parker thing. I didn't get there in time. Today, I listed 30 items. I photographed last night, and my VA shares my 1,500 listings 3 times a day. I sold a swimsuit for a 20W reduced shipping. I'm not even making cents an hour. Yeah. I've never listed on eBay. Please tell me what I need to know before I list my first item. Do I need to weigh in the box first? What's the difference in pricing between Poshmark and eBay? There's lots to know. Send me a DM. We'll talk about it. I don't want to get into that now, but you feel free to send me a DM, Sarah Sales LLC on Instagram as well. All right. So you reached out to Poshmark. I think it's kind of exciting how quickly Mannish responded, just to kind of give
so
quickly.
Like I said, I put together this 1-page summary and then a 12-page paper with all of the results and a lot of data. And then I wrote up an email and I sent it at 9:30 at night, or 9? I think I sent it at 9. And Mannish, who's the CEO of Poshmark, responded at 9:30. So I was very excited, especially because a lot of people I talked to were like, don't get your hopes up. Don't get your hopes up. They're probably not going to respond at all. And then they responded so quickly. And I was just really happy. Like, it shows that if you make it professional, put in the work, like you can get a response. So
yeah, which is good. And I have heard if you reach out to him personally, it's got to be his assistant. There's no way that he's responding to all those DMs on Instagram. But either way, he is responding. Someone is responding with thoughtful content. That I have heard the same thing for other things as well, that if you reach out to him on social media, he does respond.
Yep. And so he basically said, like, thank you for the feedback. I've read through it. I shared it with my team. and I've CC'd the Senior Vice President of Community, and she will respond to the specific questions you're asking. And so then, so I sent that on Wednesday night, and then Friday, like at the end of the workday, I got a response from her. So again, I was super happy because they did respond to me, and they responded quickly, and I thought that they gave as much as they could give me. Like, they tried to give me information without disclosing more than they should, I guess. So
yeah. And I mean, it was I watched the video. So Amber is sharing all this with us. She has a video on her channel that will go through all of it a bit. I mean, we've been pretty in depth, I feel. Yeah. But if you want more in depth and to do start to finish, she does have a video on it as well. You have covered some of their responses. We are at the hour. I can go over a few minutes, but if there's anything else that you want to include that they responded to that we haven't covered yet.
Yeah, I think we covered most of it. So the first question I asked was about the shipping, and I already mentioned that. They said they looked into tiered, but they're currently not switching. And the second question I asked was about inactive accounts and if they have plans in place to address this, and that they said that basically, thanks for elevating this, we will look into it. And then I asked, are there other things that were suggested in the survey? For example, reducing fees, not requiring a shipping discount, or reducing the frequency of closet clear-out that you guys are currently working on. And there were a lot of things in that response, but the ones that stand out to me, like right now, what I'm remembering are what we talked about, how they're gonna put through some things to improve search. They're currently working on them. They'll be coming out. Some came out in June, more to come out in 2020. And then they also specifically said that they are working on an ability to have a sale in your closet, and that is currently in the works. So
that is exciting. Okay.
Okay. If you guys want to see the full responses in the video that Sarah refers to on my channel, I went through verbatim the full response that I got from PoshMark. So if you want to see the full response, you can go over and check out that video. So.
Cool. Well, this was very informative. I do love your channel, and I appreciate all the content that you do put out. I know you're getting married soon. So, yeah, congratulations. It's been kind of a wild ride for you, I know, with everything that's going on.
I think I've planned a wedding like 4 times now, so
maybe you should become a wedding planner, like an event planner.
Wedding 4 times.
Well, I'm sure it's going to be amazing. And like we were talking before we went live, if you can plan a wedding 4 times with your fiance, your marriage is a cakewalk.
Right, we've already gone through the stress before we married.
Yes, and during COVID, and you are in your last test for your actuary?
Yeah, so I took it in the fall, and I just barely failed. I was supposed to retake it, and then they postponed it to like 3 days before my wedding. So now I'm taking it in October.
Yeah, which is, 3 days before your wedding, that would have been intense. Yeah. And for those who don't know, the actuary tests are like ridiculous. Amber's got to be like super smart. Those tests are so hard. I've never taken them, but I've heard through the grapevine they are like really intense.
A lot of it is about just like being able to have no social life and commit yourself to studying. That's a big piece of it. You just gotta be willing to do it.
All right. Well, on that note, I'm going to let you do a shameless self-promotion one more time. If there's anything else that you'd like to share, and everyone in the chat as well, feel free to leave your closet names, your Instagram, if you have a YouTube channel, if you're running sales, any of that, leave that in the chat. If you're watching this in the recording, feel free to leave your closet and information down in the comments as well. Amber Resells on everywhere, right?
Yep. Amber Resells on Instagram, Amber Resells on YouTube, and Dressed by Amber on PoshMark.
And eBay now too, right? You're on eBay?
I haven't shared my eBay yet. I'm trying to like not have YouTube influencing it so far.
Okay.
So I haven't shared my eBay name yet. And I'm still testing it out. So yep, not sharing that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you can find her in all those places. Definitely head on over to her channel and subscribe. She puts out great content. And I'm sure, are you doing a honeymoon, or did that have to get canceled?
It got canceled. So we're supposed to go to Canada, but the border's still closed. So we're taking a week off though, and we're gonna do home projects that we can.
How romantic. Our honeymoon, I got married, and my husband has a 6-year-old when we got married. So our honeymoon was with my in-laws to Disney World with our child. So it was fun, but it was not like a honeymoon. We'll be 10 years in a year or two. And I'm like, maybe we'll go, like, now that the kids are a bit older, we can like go somewhere. Just
I don't know if we'll ever go on one because we already have our next year we're going to go to Chile to visit. We have some friends who are from there, so we're going to go visit them, and like that's going to be our big trip. So yeah, I think our week at home is going to be our honeymoon.
All right. Well, thank you so much for doing the survey and putting it together, reaching out to Poshmark. You're a great asset to the community. Head on over to her channel, and thanks for joining me, Amber. Everyone, have a good night. I am doing my accountability every Monday, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard. I took last week off. I did something on Leslie's channel, a culture chat. She went live with that a couple days ago. So head on over there and watch that. But I am back on Monday. So I will see you guys on Monday, and I'm dropping a video tomorrow or Saturday, depending on how much time I have to edit it, about my June sales, how June was for me. I look at my analytics and kind of share my strategies and stuff for you guys there as well. So everyone have a good night, and thank you again, Amber.
Thanks for having me. Have a good weekend.
Guys, you too.